You're watching another edition of To The Point. I'm EmmaKate Austin. Let's start with our local NHL squads. First up, the New York Rangers. The Rangers sit third in the Met and are 7-3 over their last 10 games. Coach Gerard Gallant continues to tinker with his lineup and try out different line combinations to try to get the most out of his guys. One area this team surely wants to improve is the power play. Yes, the Blue Shirts do sit in third place in the Metro Division, but it could be the toughest division in hockey, and just a few wins or losses can really shake up the standings. The New York Islanders are a team who very much understand just how tough the division is. They've lost 5 straight games and have just 1 win in their last 10 contests. They really need to get their offense going because as it sits right now, they rank 24th in the league with just 2.92 goals per game. They cannot rely on solid goaltending and hope to make it to the postseason. And speaking of the postseason, a team that looks like a lock to be there is the New Jersey Devils. They have the most wins in the division, but are tied with the Carolina Hurricanes in points. Both have 66. The Devils have just 1 loss in their last 8 games, and goalie Vitek Vanacek has really been a pleasant surprise for this team. He's won 20 of the games he started. And we have to talk about Jack Hughes, who just cannot be stopped. He's top 10 in the league in points and goals and is just so much fun to watch. Now let's take a look at the league as a whole, and standing alone at the top is the mighty Boston Bruins. With a win over Montreal on Tuesday night, the Bruins became the fastest team to reach 80 points in NHL history. They did so in just 47 games. I'm really not sure who's going to stop this team. They have arguably the most enviable goaltending duo in hockey, as well as names everyone knows, including star forward David Pastrnak. And I have to call myself out here. Before the season, I questioned whether it was a good idea to hang on to some of their players who are getting a little bit older, like Brad Marchand and Patrice Bergeron. Clearly, I was wrong. The Bees now head down to Florida for a quick road trip to face the Lightning and the Panthers. Someone else I'm calling out, the Vancouver Canucks organization, for their handling of now former coach Bruce Boudreau. Rumors that the Canucks wanted to fire Boudreau were circling for weeks, and it finally happened this past weekend. But it came as no surprise, and even before he was let go, Vancouver fans gave him a heartfelt send-off as the crowd chanted, "Bruce, there it is." He was emotional, and a number of fans held up signs saying things like, "We stand with Bruce." Canucks president of hockey operations Jim Rutherford apologized for how the whole situation was handled and said he feels very bad about it. And he should. Boudreau is a well-liked and well-respected coach in this league, and while the Canucks struggled mightily, all the heat seemed to fall on the coach, when in reality, the ownership and front office are to blame. They don't seem to have a plan for this organization and aren't listening to the fans. It seems like this team needs a rebuild, but the Canucks are reportedly asking a lot for their players like leading scorer Bo Horvat and winger Brock Besser. It's time for a fresh start for this team, and we'll see if the organization makes the right decision. Another team that may be selling pieces off is the San Jose Sharks. Teams are circling the waters for talented players like Timo Meier. The Devils, Rangers, and Hurricanes are all teams who are likely interested in the talented winger who would be an asset to just about any team's offense. Erik Karlsson is another Shark who could be on his way out, but his price might be higher than a lot of teams are willing to pay. I'm also keeping my eye on the Chicago Blackhawks. Remember that dynasty that won 3 Stanley Cups in 5 years? Yeah, it's dead. The Hawks sit just about at the bottom of the league, and there's been talk for months that longtime stars Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane could leave Chicago before the trade deadline. This is another organization that needs a rebuild, and I could see them moving on from the 2 players who have been the faces of this franchise for over a decade. That rebuild could start with phenom Connor Bedard, who could possibly be drafted by the Blackhawks if they end up with that #1 draft pick. Time will tell if the Blackhawks are sellers at the deadline, and they do indeed tank for that top pick. On a lighter note, we're just over a week away from the NHL All-Star break and the festivities that will take place in Sunrise, Florida. In addition to the game, there will be 3 new events added to the skills competition to highlight the game's tropical location. I think I'm most excited for the pitch and puck, where players will have to combine their hockey and golf skills on a par 4 hole. The winner will be the player who sinks the ball in the hole in the fewest number of shots, and I know how many of these guys love golf, so I think this will be a huge hit. That's all for today's edition of To The Point, and I'll catch you on the next shift.